want me to read you that? Spare myself. Wait a second for that.
Tolerate being.
I do.
Okay, you're going live.
Like to call to order the town of Annapolis Road Committee of the Whole, March 3rd, 2026, being 5 p.m. We have all councillors and all councillors and the mayor present. Regrets absence. We have several additions to the agenda. So under new business, we have a request from the King's Theatre for support of their letter to the provincial government. We have number 7-8 is discussion of the budget. Number 9 is an update on the activities around getting ready for observance of Kiowa's 400th days. And under in camera, we have a personnel matter to add to the agenda. Any other additions? Consider the agenda adopted then. Are there any conflicts of interest? None noted. Has everyone had a chance to look at the committee of the whole minutes for February 3rd? Any comments or changes? Oh, it doesn't advance it. I'm going about reading lost. Oh, it's okay. I think I can manage, but I'll just make basis on it. So do we have any public input? Yeah, the member of the public who is present with need to the statement of the recording. So we will begin then with the new business. So the request for decision, human resources procedure and policy. You want to give any,
I can do it. So we are amending it for 2 things. The first is sick leave, advancing sick leave will only advance 5 days. So that'll alleviate any issues in the future. And also, right now, permanent staff get a Christmas bonus of $100 every year. And it's prorated for the other staff members. Now it will just be, if you've been here 3 months, you automatically get it.
okay. So can I have a motion, please?
Sure. I move to recommend to council to repeal human resources procedure policy 5-13 and its replacement with the human resources procedures and policy number 6-02 dated March.
Seconder, please. Second. Any discussion?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'd like to refer the decision back to the current session.
Okay. So we don't need to rescind the motion or anything because we're going to just take it up later. Yeah, good. Awesome. All right. So the next topic is request for a decision on the police agreement.
And I can speak to that too if you like. There's 2 changes in that. One is just it will now be referred to the Annapolis Road Police Services instead of department. And the other one is the sick leave as well. 5 advanced and 5 advanced.
So Amory, do we need to defer that also?
Just the
Sick
sick leave. And the other issue is whether it's police service or services. I keep seeing it spelled both ways. And just it's not all that important. If we're changing the name, we need to get the big name. Because
I thought we agreed at the last meeting it would be service. So
I'm still saying it with an S, and it's not a big deal, but we're changing for that reason.
and the hierarchy is. All right, so do we want to make a motion just on the topic of the service then? Okay, can I have a motion then, please?
I'll recommend council to repeal the police agreement dated July 2025 and its replacement with police agreement dated March 2026 with respect to the name of the department, which is Annapolis Road Police Service. Okay.
Can I have a second? Any discussion on the topic of the police service versus services? Right, shall we take a vote then? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimously carried. Any others? Now, the next topic is the operating budget, 2026 to 2027. Do you want to?
So the tax rate remains the same. I'll just give you the highlights. There's an improved police coverage and safety. There's a joint economic development officer in this budget. There's gonna be sidewalk repairs. There'll be paving throughout the town. The capital budget includes a new 1-ton truck and a police car, as well as an improved community hub gym washroom. Our capital grants equal 1.8 million. I know we're talking about the operating, but that's a big punch for a small, those are the long and short, the budget highlights of the operating budget and the capital budget.
Maybe just to clarify, we're patch paving, not.
We're at paving, yeah.
So,
Paving, yeah.
So I guess we should have a motion first and then, or you.
I just had a question. The 30 grand that just came in the door, where is it?
That will go in this year's budget. The year we're in right now.
It's going in this year. So that's where is it showing up?
That will show as a revenue.
But is it going to be allocated to operating service?
It will be part of operating surplus. So you know how right now in the current year we're in, we had 114,000 to come in from operating. We're probably not gonna have to bring any again at our budget meeting. I said we may have to bring between 15 and 30, but if we have that money, it should be good. Good.
It's kind of a motion.
I move to recommend to council approval of the 3,112,019.05 town operating budget for 2026-2027 with tax rates at $1.76 and $3.26 respectively for residential and commercial. The fire rate for 2026-2027 is 0.001066 and is included in the overall tax rate.
I'll second that. Any discussion? Something that one of the things that you spoke about. It's not just another clarification, but it's fun. Okay, are we ready to take a vote?
Yeah, but if you had a point to raise.
I just don't remember. It was one of them, just a clarification. It wasn't. Questions. No,
Economic officer, sidewalk, police coverage.
Paving through town, that's patch paving. You caught that.
It stays flat.
maybe it was just that, the increased safety is having two officers.
Right.
I think she
said
said,
there's more
yeah, safety as well as the safety of the town.
Yes.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
So. Anybody?
You mean in
The municipalities. Somebody else.
I think it's the past the budget.
Oh,
I know a few that are hoping for June.
Yeah.
All right, next topic is the capital budget. Did you want to add anything else?
I could add that we are going to have some website upgrades. And we're continuing on with our local leadership for climate adaptation. The huge, over $1 million project, the Living Shore.
Right, can I have a motion, please?
I move to recommend to council approval of the 2026-2027 general capital budget of $2,144,498.
Any discussion?
19 problems in the description. That program is not closed.
Yes.
And thank you for all the work on the budget and guiding us through that process efficiently again. It was wonderful.
Okay, all in favor?
I got it.
Unanimously carried. All right, next topic is appoint new committee member for environmental advisory. Kathy. I don't know about that, and that should be, I think her letters, but she could put your in guard.
Or, no, they answer questions, they're out there sharing, they.
So,
Wonderful addition. Oh, I'll be happy. Oh, sorry, it's not my turn.
I recommend council to appoint Kathy Brooks to the Environmental Advisory Committee for a term of 2 years until December 31st, 2020.
I'll go second.
There.
Thank you.
any discussion on that?
I think it's wonderful. Wow, yeah, wow, great addition, yeah.
All in favor? Only waste temporary borrowing resolution.
So this resolution was required because the borrowing resolution lapsed for work that's already in progress and the work that's already approved. So it's a red tape issue. So basically, what we felt was, okay, if that's what we need to do is renew the borrowing resolution. That's what we do. So this is a red tape issue. If you're wondering why you've seen this before and proving it again, that's why. Yeah, that's why. We did this. I move that council approve the temporary board resolution to PBR to evaluate the town of Annapolis local share for the 2026 to 27 capital budget at 0.84% in the amount of $3,614.
Further discussion required. All in favor? Unanimously carried. So the next topic is the request from King's Theatre to support the letter that they intend to send the provincial government regarding the budget cuts to cultural issues in Nova Scotia. Has everybody had a chance to read that? Very different one. Oh, maybe that's what I thought it was for.
No, it's a proposed expansion.
Oh, I'm sorry, I apologize.
No, so that's okay, there's a lot going on over there.
Yeah. I assumed it was about.
A lot going on.
Do we need to take a minute?
Yes.
Obviously, I need to take a minute to read it.
And Don, do you know, like, what? I noticed it's not going anywhere that we don't know whether they're applying for, I assume they're applying for money, but do we have any background that's given for fun?
I don't have exactly what you guys have.
So we'd be basically approving the proposed changes to the building
I'm thinking that's why she sent the drawings.
and the letter that could be used for funding to undisclosed party.
That's what I'm assuming, and that's only like an example of a letter. We can change it or.
Oh,
We can
no,
do.
that's. And I know this was a late condition that Sandy was lacking.
I thought I saw in that email,
$5,000.
well, yes, they were gonna ask for us for $1,000 for one. With the town, so there was an ask for a larger amount. And Sandy said we're not doing those kinds of grants. There was another ask for $1,000. I think Sandy responded to that question. And I thought it said somewhere though here where they were.
It says they've raised more than 2 million for upgrades.
Over the years, yeah.
So are they using into that or?
I think they spent it all.
They
Yeah,
spent-
that's already.
Okay, so this is, they're
This is
really applying,
$750,000.
right, and they're applying, we don't know.
We don't know.
This is the letter.
They're applying
for a
to-
grant?
Yeah.
Yes.
But we don't know who to.
Yeah. But I guess we support them. Applying for grants.
Yeah.
Town certainly has in the past. The question would be, if you have, this council have any questions about what they're planning to do, if it's your building.
I'm assuming all building codes will be met and.
They
Are they bylaws?
No one heard of, all.
Exactly.
I was trying to understand the design of that. Is that replacing the depth that's there?
There's a lovely deck out.
I don't think it is. I think it would access, like accessible access in behind.
But I just wondered, because it says potential addition right there. And that area right there would have been the deck. Like from those doors to there.
But that deck actually doesn't reach the boardwalk,
No, but this,
Right?
this would,
but this would.
yeah,
Yeah.
it would go right to the edge of the building.
Right, so
It's the revised. So you can see the boardwalk.
Yeah, and this one just shows you a bigger view of it, that's all, this just shows you the whole building.
so will they still have the deck?
I don't think so. That's what I'm saying, is I think that that's being, it looks to me like the footprint of the addition would take up where the deck is, plus the space that's not currently used between there and the end of the building.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, so there was an approval in 2024, but there were no funds for it. So there's a proposal, it was part of what was approved by the town in 2024, but there were no funds.
In any case. They got an approval on hand, even if they were changing or updating it, they'd have to go through PHAP and come to us for that part of it. Right, what I understand is they just want us to sign on to the approval letter.
And
I
it
think
was
it's consistent with our strategy. It's making things more accessible, so
and it was right, they were asking us to consider
$1,000 for,
for the it towards it.
I think we've got to separate.
I agree. Yeah.
Motions.
Yeah, the thing is, we talked about, it just,
Yeah,
so. But this wasn't clear in the request that came forward, but it was in, the.
and I think Sandy was kind of, I thought Sandy was clear in her response that said we have removed that kind of support.
Yes, that's what she said, yeah.
Because otherwise, I mean, yes, it's only $1,000, but then
You have to be.
every group could come to us for $1,000.
All right, so can I have a motion regarding supporting the letter of support?
So it'd be move to recommend to council, move to
I
recommend.
recommend to council to support the request for support for
The letter of support.
To approve the
to
literature.
approve the letter of support for proposed expansion. So. 6.
That second.
So. Either the answer. Well, let's focus on this, any discussion on the letter, any? Or we doing
Some minor edits, but then we'll.
Just get those
few things, and it's explained under my signature.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. Off in favor? Unanimously carried. So we'll, Sandy's responded to the no on the $1,000, so.
Right, and the police, the council does provide the business.
Yeah.
Some things on commercial lease, except if you money attached to the lease.
And we do not charge them for any time.
No, and they're responsible for the maintenance.
The last email said. There are contribution of form of wage.
Yeah,
Reference to your.
yeah, wage tax, but also the building that we provide.
So we move on to the next topic. Which is the, question of the provincial budget. Only requirement. I wish we fixed, but. I don't know, anybody want to kick it off? It's kind of,
Well. Yeah, sorry, I think if I understood correctly, one of the reasons why we wanted to add this to our discussion tonight was, do we want to, as a town, to send a letter regarding some of the cuts that are so deeply affecting our community, which was particularly the cuts to the heritage and arts and like, so the loss of the North Hills Museum is a big issue for our community. The 20% cuts to the museums are a big issue to our community. The 20% cuts to RCAC, to King's Theatre, to the gardens, to like anybody who's under communities, culture and heritage is experiencing a loss under this budget. And so I think that was part of the reason why it was suggested that we talk about it.
No, my understanding is we have to write said letter this week. The sooner the better,
Yes.
because they're in discussions. Yeah. There are lots of potential templates out there. I've seen a few. So yeah, no, I support. I support it. Budget cuts.
Right.
Far ranging for our community.
Make it pretty devastating.
Devastating.
Yeah, part of the problem with all the responses, because I've looked at all of them today, is nobody's giving them alternatives. That's part of the issue. So there's several issues, the fact that they caught everybody off guard, so lack of number. The fact that, you know, there's not really any serious opposition going on, like there's opposition, so there's nothing in the way of constructive, have you considered this or that? Like guaranteed income, we've all talked about it. But, you know, could we not have an experiment in Nova Scotia? It's worked in other places, like, you know, all this tinkering and cutting here and there is not going to fix the issue. If you keep spending the way everybody does on having everything that every other province has, as a town, if you just look at what the towns do municipally, we partner wherever we can. Why is that not happening at the provincial level? And I suspect it's because of politics. So this two-party system is not happening. It's,
I'd love to see that in the letter, what you just said.
well, you know, if you look at what happened, that's what happened. I
Yeah.
don't care who's in power, they think in terms of 4 years.
Yeah.
And we don't, for trees, or we do not do that, but they do. And that's really limiting it's limiting their imagination.
Their own potential.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was real lack of creativity for any problem solving. You take your visitor information centers, thinking of Cape Breton. And there's a lot of space in that place. It's busy, it's really busy. They could think of creative ideas, renting out part of the space in there to a coffee shop or something and get these places bringing income. Like there was zero creative ideas coming forward, slash and burn.
It was no warning to the airport tourism kiosk.
Yes,
The premier was there the week before and thanking them for the wonderful job they're doing. The week they're laid off. That's disturbing with the lack of notice, like that's, to me is, it's disturbing. Sort of considers.
And I have to admit, I haven't crunched the numbers myself, but it seems like what they're saving from all of these cuts is just a drop in the bucket compared to all the other things that cost.
It's around
And yet it
there,
can be
1.2 billion.
Devastating to communities.
And there's nobody that's not there. I don't know anybody that's not.
And I do think the point is these last year and the next couple of years will be critical for this province in terms of its tourism industry, because the people are coming here and we can't, help them find fun things to do and places to eat and stuff like that. They're not going to come back, and that, it's a golden opportunity, that we should be supporting. It's interesting because we had a discussion with somebody recently about, it's like in BC now, and they were like, oh, but BC was never like around here. Well, I'm telling you, when I grew up, BC was exactly like this. They put a lot of money into supporting the tourism industry, and it's not just the tourists that you bring, it's the people that come with them, it's the dollars that come in, it's
The businesses that support them operating.
And they want to learn about local places by local people, not an app.
No,
People want connection.
They want the connection.
I'd also note that when they announced the budget, there was reference made to the fact that this is only the first of at least a 3-year series of cuts of a similar nature every year. So how if we're barely going to survive what's happening right now, how could we possibly survive cuts in years 2 and 3?
Only also concerns that, you know, we didn't see also that some of the funds that help municipals be resilient in the face of climate change, you know, societal change.
Yes.
Those are all going big too, so.
Which is gonna cost them in the end.
Yes.
That is well researched, that if you do not mitigate climate change in your community, it's going to cost you more.
There's a reason why the insurance companies are so interested. in-
Exactly. That's the reason why we got these.
No, or do we need a
motion
to support? No, I take that out.
Taken down when you're, oh, good. And what I would like to throw in is why, you know, the maritime premiers have not done the work that they're expected to do. Why we have 4 workers' compensation boards, 4 occupational health, like, there's no reason why they couldn't do, like, we could start consolidating. They could buy power from Quebec Hydro, there's an appetite to get out of Emera. So I think we should throw in stuff and then you guys review the letter, I'll throw in the stuff that I've seen going across me and stuff and just put something together, including this. And
They have an expectation of us consulting with our counterparts, but they're not living up to that expectation.
well, there were consultations, the reason why the main lodge don't use that word anymore.
Yes.
Why it's a bad word, because of what they did, and they did the same thing to us. What
Yeah.
this all consultation is, although they backed down on fire services. They did, because the word shall provide fire services taken over the MGA. That's not a small thing. And Paul LaFleche did admit that he didn't understand the library funding. formula.
Yes, yeah, that's true.
That, which is pretty bad. He did not understand that we are heavily contributing to capital costs.
Yes, it looks like we're not.
And they did not know, it's clear in the call, they did not. That we assume they know things,
Yeah,
well, we shouldn't assume.
They also assume they know things.
libraries have as their important mental health resources too, with all of the cuts. In the areas of mental health and to support, you know, less fortunate people in the community who can't own their own computers and things like that, so they create resilience in rural areas.
People looking for jobs,
And I think
you need internet.
we should say what we do agree with, the fact they're trying to balance. You should give me some
Yes.
points, like the
Well-
fact that they're trying to balance the budget. We
Yeah,
should think,
absolutely, we need to be responsible with our funds.
They have invested in housing. So that part of the budget has increased, I believe, 50+ million increase, so that's necessary and an important increase because that's been such a critical problem in Nova Scotia. So there are a few
And for
places
this,
where there's elements
And
that are positive,
justice was a good, they made some improvements to justice.
but they've also cut dramatically.
I think that what we can,
Job protection.
from my opinion, what we can say about police and fire services is the things to standardize things that must be standardized, actually, those are good moves, like to have,
Yeah.
you know, standard today. But the way that it's been applied as now this is the solution and everyone will adopt it when you've got communities of with such varying needs and sizes and even physical locations. That's where it's,
You may not be able to afford what is standardized.
Yeah.
yeah, and I guess they would make the argument then, you know, you should have. You can't keep your people safe and you can't, but on the other hand, you know, how do we work with those, you know, smaller fire departments so that they have what they need? And one of the things that does happen, I'm not sure how much they understood how much cooperation occurs between the fire departments.
think
to
they-
support each
No,
other.
I don't think they knew that at all. They seemed surprised during that meeting.
But anyways, try and say something positive. I do think that, you know, some of the stuff that they learned from the inquiry, both on the fire department and the police are good things. And the idea of like having a standardized computer system, that's super
Yes.
important. And that's a really good initiative. Absolutely. But deciding that, you know, the police, and it still wasn't clear by the end of that meeting, the fire chief doesn't report into council, but council has to not approve. What would you call it? Be aware of who the fire chief is who's appointed and.
but they have no understanding because, well, and no wonder in Annapolis County, have 11 fire departments, they don't have a single written agreement. We have the only one. There's only one for all of Annapolis County. Now, why a simple thing would have been, well, you all need to have MOUs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They could have just said that. That's all it's, the piece of paper is all it's needed.
And then that allows the community to adapt to their given circumstances.
Yes, in absentia, department is applying standards.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, absolutely.
They're using the international standards.
Yeah,
Have been for years.
Yeah, no, across the province they have, and, yeah.
So
Yeah,
I think
we could spend a long time talking about it, but I was just trying to give, like, the two positives, I think, are that, you know, that kind of standardization is a.
and the focus, they have done some things on health for as much as people complain of having, so, okay, I've got some pluses I can put in. Yeah, I'd like to start with something positive and then filter off something and get it circulated, then we can add and some. Decide what we want to say. Okay, and this week, right?
Yeah, March 4th, I think is the last one that they'll really listen to the input, so it doesn't give you much time.
No, that's fine, there's nothing more important now, no, I'm sure I'll hear lots tomorrow.
There was actually a very good graphic put out by one of the MLAs on South Shore. Who that kind of explains all the steps and of the budget and the bills getting approved, but also lays out which ones are going before the government on which days in the next week. So,
Lisa LaChance.
yes.
Yes, and she's good, yeah, so she's published her piece on.
So, okay. Are we done with that discussion?
And
Yeah.
anything you want to add that you didn't think of, just send me a note.
So our next topic is the Pierre Dugas meeting. So Amory and I started out with the idea of getting the twinning committee together and then thought we'd expand it a little bit. Held a very, very informal meeting, which was sort of 2 hours long with half an hour of more formal discussion and just networking of all of the different people and organizations in the community who might be interested in Acadian topics and Dugas and that sort of thing. So part of the objective was just for people to talk about what are they doing in the summer, so everybody knows what each other's doing, and it was a nice way to break the ice a little bit too. And then we had a discussion about what we might do for the 400th anniversary. I want to say anniversary because it sounds weird to celebrate some observance of Dugas' death, which we have to observe instead of celebrate because we don't know when his birthday is. Amory presented on some grants that hopefully are still in place. Yeah, one of which could be quite substantial and may help us with some of our infrastructure challenges in town, particularly we're thinking about the war. So we did a bit of a brainstorming on what kinds of things we could do in 2028. So to God, you know, do we make it a year-long thing? Do we make it certain days? You know, people were talking about everything from doing a redo of the canoe trip across the province to dancing and all kinds of different things. So we're going to get together again in about a month to try and more formalize who wants to sit on the actual committee to plan it versus who wants to just be aware and volunteer. We want to keep it as an informal group to give it maximum flexibility. So also to give people clear the message that the town is not in any way trying to control what people are doing. We're just trying to be a clearinghouse for information about what's happening. So have I missed anything?
No, sounds good. Costume rentals, AHS. You get to dress up again. Woo, what people want to do about
The
it.
work sounds like a nice tie-in to me simply because I always think about the naming of Port Royal and why it was the most beautiful port that they sailed into.
No.
You know, so the idea that it has some water connection, I think.
There's a capital grant for 500,000, I mean, that to maximize it would need another 500,000. So
Is what up to contribute
the
the
sponsorships of 500,000 could yield 1 million.
which would help us a lot.
Yeah.
And there's 200,000 available in operating. Good chunk.
Be a challenge, but hey, we're up for a challenge.
Yeah, we just have to figure out what we spend it on.
That would be a good show.
Piece of metal.
I think that covers all of the new business. There's no unfinished business. There were correspondence, so the call for nomination letter was our Order of Nova Scotia. I don't know.
Yeah, so does anybody have any ideas who to nominate? A lot of people have been nominated already, it's been all kinds of awards given out.
I have an idea, but I feel like I would be biased presenting.
So far as I know, there's no conflict of interest.
Okay, so if nobody, the idea that I would suggest would actually be Jane Nicholson. Given the level of heritage restoration and contribution that she has made to the town, the ongoing contribution that she and Peter make through the Pixie Dust Fund, but in support of the music. And then also her work, and this is where I feel awkward saying it because I work there, but the $1 million contribution that Arrow has made to the community, which was a philanthropic contribution. There was no return on that investment. All of those things, when you kind of look at them over the years of what she's actually contributed to the fabric of our community, I think really warrants a nomination. Now, I do understand, I recognize she has been nominated in the past. I know from having dealt with this board before, they don't care if people have been nominated more than once. In fact, they actually encourage that. If you are, no, she hasn't received it, but they basically will say has not received it. They encourage you to submit them again the following year. So there's no objection to a person being nominated.
And I can think of one down here, well, having a brain thing, Swire.
Saxon Squire.
Who've done, so there's two names, so maybe it's something we should think about.
Yeah.
I think we should.
I don't think Claire would still be standing if we weren't.
So I think we should really think about it and maybe come up with a list and really, you know, let's think of some names. I think it'd be good for
We have been
with what's going on,
Yeah.
whatever recognition we can.
Absolutely, and we advertise. They prefer that they are, but they do make posthumous.
It's not
Award.
what I'm thinking of.
Like to that.
It's kind of the big thing. Try and get both the two and to God nominated as significant historical figures in Canada. And it might be, you know, I think we'd have to make sure River Nation would be comfortable with us, you know, nominating members, but
The other thing
There's
to
a
know,
really good idea, because we could meet with Bear River and they'll give us an excuse to go.
and the other thing to know, a community can nominate more than one person. You can nominate as many packages as you're willing to work on. Because they do have a formula for the package and what needs to be included and all the different pieces. But you could nominate 10 people if you had 10 people to go into the mix.
But I like the people of national security.
yeah.
Historical idea.
The idea of our guy too, because it wouldn't happen, you know. No. This is for the Order of Nova Scotia. We're a little, but the budget,
We could go for this.
yeah, yes, and I really should say because. It's
It gives me an excuse to visit the chief.
Yeah.
Time to go, but
That's it.
I need something that.
Anybody else have any suggestions? Could we put something out to the community more?
That's a
broadly?
really good idea.
Maybe not private, something, I don't know what the deadlines are.
April, the closing date for nominations is April 30th. So I don't know that would make, knowing how big the package is. Yeah, I don't know that you have enough time to do.
So get your nominations in and we can.
But we could put it on like the Facebook page or out through the email, like the email newsletter.
Maybe
We can do all of those things.
Okay.
Of course.
It's an interesting opportunity, I guess.
Yes, it is. It is. We shouldn't.
Yeah.
We have people who deserve that.
So if we're done with that topic, then the next topic is the approval letter for the Annapolis Royal Shoreline. Adrian.
Ooh. Great. Oh, great, yeah, right.
The great program that has now been canceled.
Yeah, so we have a letter. So it's public.
Yeah, we couldn't announce it before because we weren't allowed to until they
Oh,
announced
yeah.
it. So I guess they announced it and then canceled the program.
So, yes, so there were 4 programs that got canceled by the province. One of them is GRID, and I'm happy to say that the town applied and got all 4 program grants. And the most recent one that we just received is 280,000 from the province of Nova Scotia. And now they're closing the program, but they've got our money. And Sandy informed me it's all going to shoreline restoration things. So this completes it, and I didn't ask her if she has another book setting. But is there one more?
Not that I'm aware of.
So this would complete phase 1, and it would be 100% paid for externally to the town.
It's really remarkable, well, there's all the work that goes into doing that kind of stuff, but also the level of success.
And Donna was working on this particular one.
I'm in awe of the community. She is impressive.
A lot of hard work went into those grants,
Yeah.
clean foundations and.
So congratulations, go staff.
Yeah.
And I do owe Donna lunch. And that will. And then sad. They're not sad for us because we don't,
Well-
but see that the point that Sandy's on them and ahead of time.
Yeah.
Means that we don't wait, because you never knew with this province would last.
No.
They change the names of programs every year, but nothing says that they won't disappear.
And well, and he does kind of imply in the very next letter that while many have been cut, there are other programs that you would still be able to apply for those same things.
And the federal money is not dried up, and green funds is sitting there with all kinds of money. because
Yeah.
People haven't been get their applications together because they're too complicated to do. So
Again, with the challenge.
See, our team likes.
and the other good thing is that Dell Housing Group is doing a community engagement based thing. And they picked up our, when they communicated with us and said, would we want to go to such a thing? We said, yes. And they said, well, we want to bring in students and we want to work on, and we said, wait a minute, we've got a pilot project that's piled up at your place. So they're going to arrange a side meeting with the 2 engineers at the Department of Environment on our power project. So to see if they can move that along. It doesn't need a lot of money. It needs 25,000, build a turbine and 3 tests at thousands. So we might be able to get that done. Anyway, we'll find out on March 12th.
All right, and then, so we covered the letter from the deputy minister then, and then the final one is membership update, Bill 186, support for fire protection services. That's.
The big one.
I don't, this is for our awareness, it's not action.
Right,
You know,
So
thank you, Roger.
Thank you, Roger.
Thanks, Roger.
I think we have to be very cautious about what we agree to support and improve in fire services. I'm not there. I care that we support and improve or not, but it's is discussed earlier. There's a lot of concerns, and I think we would want to have the feedback of our own fire department. Yes.
Absolutely. That was actually a question I was going to ask, is there a means for us to be meeting with the seniors of the fire department?
I guess we could ask them if they.
Like, I would like more of their input.
I think it would be good if they could write us something,
Yeah.
put something in writing. So we actually have something. in
That's
writing.
always been an issue for them, putting it
Oh,
in writing.
Well, it might not be right now.
Let me, we've got our monthly meeting tomorrow night, so I'll try and feel out, the other thing is not all fire departments have the time to be involved in digging through this because it's masses of documents and, these guys all work and volunteer, and, yeah, so I can see what the appetite would be, and if, you know, support from the town for their point of view would be great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good relationship.
Yes.
So, that brings us to the end of the open part of the agenda, so I need to request that we have a motion to go in camera under section 22 of the Municipal Governance Act for labor relations and contract negotiations and personnel.
And so
So
moved.
minutes of committee of the whole.
So moved.
You read that all over it.
Yeah, we'll take us out.
Okay, I'm just gonna pull this out.